Hey everybody, welcome to PPR podcast number 208. My name is Paul Rudy, but everybody really is dialing in to see the guy to the right of me, Bert Grossman, who is the star of the podcast, star of the PPR, and star of he is the sun in my orbit. And Bert, you landed us a big guest. Why don't you do the introductions, please?
I will. No introduction needed, probably. But Jeff Garcia, four-time All-Star with the CFL, four-time Pro Bowler, Grey Cup MVP.
Well, yeah, it's a Grey Cup champion, I believe, right?
Yeah, and
the Stampede. I want to talk about that, but I'm sorry, I stepped on your introduction. Finish up.
Jeff Garcia, welcome.
Jeff Garcia, everybody.
This is what I got to deal with.
A bearded Jeff Garcia. Wow.
Yeah, getting older these days. Trying to, it's because I have the bald head, I use the beard, take away from the baldness.
I got it.
At least I can grow hair somewhere.
Well, Jeff, we can't help but notice that you're decked out in Mira Mesa Marauder colors. That would suggest to me that you are now somehow affiliated with the Marauder football program. Could you confirm or deny?
That's right. I'm going to confirm that I've accepted an opportunity to be the offense coordinator at Mira Mesa High School, and Coach Reyes is giving me the chance to come join the Marauder squad in the Mecca and try to help turn things around out there.
How did that happen? Did he reach out to you? You reach out to him? Was there an intermediary? How'd that connection come about?
Actually, I reached out to him. I've been looking at opportunities to try to get back in to coaching, and I really want to coach the youth levels, the high school level, where I feel like I can still make a difference on these kids. And so I just did a little research as to where certain programs were at. I have a daughter at Torrey Pines High School. I have kids that are going into high school. And, as much as I'd like to be offering these services at their schools, that option wasn't available. So I went out looking for myself and found this opportunity at Mira Mesa. I reached out to the athletic director. He put me in touch with Coach Reyes. Coach Reyes reached out to me. I had actually crossed paths with Coach Reyes years ago when I was coaching quarterbacks, and we do a lot of training at Madison High School. I had a young quarterback out there that was a talented young man in the early, probably 2013, 2014, around that time frame. And so we had crossed paths before, but he called me back. He asked me if this was truly something that I was interested in. I said, yes, I definitely want to get back involved. I want to reestablish my own purpose in life and be involved in something that's meaningful. And there's no better way than to help inspire and motivate young people to bring out their best, to expect more out of themselves, whether it be on the football field, in the classroom, in the community. Those are things that I really feel strongly about. And I think that with today's world, with social media, with all the things that are happening at the collegiate level now, there is really a sense of entitlement. And I see that with 4 teenagers myself at home. And so, as far as being able to go back out there, bring it down to grassroots, really coach the proper mentality of the game, the physical aspect of the game, and help these young people succeed or strive to find success is really what my purpose is and why I wanted to get involved.
So you brought the entitlement part up, and I totally agree with you. I guess, the kids now, they look down on JC. I mean, you've had so much success. I mean, your impeccable career, like I said, 4-time All-Star with the CFL, 4-time Pro Bowler. I don't know, a lot of people know you started off at junior college. I mean, do you see that with these kids nowadays? And now with the transfer portal, you kind of have to say, hey, you can't be entitled anymore. You can't look down on JCs like a lot of these kids are. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the high school scholarship opportunities there aren't as many anymore going to the high school athletes. And just because of the transfer portal and those sort of things happening at the collegiate game. I did. I went to a junior college. I played for my dad in junior college. I thought it was the greatest experience in my life as far as being able to play for my dad and and join forces in that sort of way. It allowed me to continue to mature and grow as an athlete, as a player, as a person. Coming out of high school, I wasn't recruited. I wasn't recruited by anybody to go off and have that opportunity at a 4-year school. So I knew my opportunity was going to go through the junior college, and my dad did a great job of preparing me, of getting me in a position to where I could be successful and utilize my skill set. And also the fact that I had an extra year to develop my body physically. I was kind of a skinny kid coming out of high school, and I still, I guess, am blessed to somewhat be skinny, but at that time I wanted to put more weight on. I wanted to be more physical in a sense, and it allowed me to continue to grow in that sort of way, and then have the talent on the field that allowed schools to really look at me as a guy who could play at that collegiate level, and it allowed me to get that scholarship. I had a few offers, but I took the one down the road to San Jose State, which was close to home, and it worked out for me. I was truly blessed to be able to have that experience. And I look at it now today, I mean, you're not losing anything by going to a JC. The way things are today,
you're gaining.
You can go and get that extra year, maybe 2 years, and it's not going to hurt your eligibility at the 4-year level. I mean, what a great opportunity to continue to do what you love to do, and grow and mature and develop and all those things, and where you're even more competitive in a 2-year maturation process.
Hey, I want to follow up on that because I want to get your opinion of the state of college football because of all this. But I just have to go back. Do you realize how cool a situation we could have in San Diego next fall, or this coming fall? You could have 2 NFL illustrious quarterbacks calling plays against one. You could have Breeze versus Garcia if Santa Fe Christian took on Mira Mesa.
And you got Achille at Morse now.
Isn't that? Why? I mean, what a boy! That would be. We would have to broadcast that game if it was Breeze versus Garcia calling plays.
Yeah, I don't think they played each other.
Well, I know, but if they were
San Diego is blessed with all the ex-NFL players that, first of all, retire here. You have guys all over the place that are now taking on roles as coaches at different high schools. I mean, it's great for these young people to see what it truly takes to get to that highest level. And it's just not something that you can talk about. It's something that you have to work for and really challenge yourself to bring out the best in yourself. But yeah, I mean, with Drew over at Santa Fe Christian, and you have Weddle over there at Rancho Bernardo, you have Nick over there at Del Norte, you have plenty of coaches of all ranges of positions that are now head coaches at high schools. I mean, it's just it's great to see.
Could you? Are you confident you would out X and O Breeze, out X and O Weddle, out X and O Barnett? I mean, come on.
Well, I think I think at the end of the day, I mean, you can prepare these kids in the best possible way, and then it comes down to them executing on the field, right? So I know that we will be prepared for whatever we're about to face as far as the defense is concerned. And now it's just about execution. So I'm not going to back down to anybody. I'm going to bring our best and make sure these kids are prepared.
Hey, Jeff, I grew up in Philadelphia, so I'm a big Eagles fan. And one of the biggest mysteries of my life as an Eagles fan was, how did they re-sign A.J. Feely over you that year? Like, what was that about?
Yeah, well, I think they really put in a position to where I was either going to really undersell myself and give them a great deal in returning as a backup, because they had Donovan. Donovan was the starter. He would be back. He was going to be the guy. And either that or I would outprice myself, and they would just say, well, you're too expensive to be a backup and we can't afford to bring you back. So I think at the end of the day, I knew that I could still start in the National Football League, and I also knew that it wasn't going to be there in Philadelphia as much as I would have loved to have returned. And that was such a great experience for me, playing for the Eagles and what we were able to accomplish that season when I stepped on the field with that team. And, I left there with a lot of love from the Eagle fans, which is kind of rare in a sense, you know. I mean, oftentimes when you leave as an Eagle, it's maybe not on the best of terms, and those fans will let you know it. But there's a lot of love and appreciation for what I did for Philadelphia, and you know, I cherish that, and it brings back great memories for me, especially around Christmas time. I get a lot of messages from Philly fans and different things because we played the Cowboys on Christmas Day and beat them on Christmas Day. And I had the quote of saying Merry Christmas, Philadelphia after the game on, you know, national television. So, you know, those sort of things, those will live with me forever. And unfortunately, it just wasn't going to work out to where I could still do what I wanted to do as far as contribute to the team, because I'll admit it was hard succumbing to that backup role, even though I knew Donovan was a great player in the National Football League. He had had many solid seasons. It was tough to just watch from the sidelines and know that you're not necessarily contributing to the team. I'm not playing special teams. I'm not doing anything else that could really help the team. And I just kind of have to wait, sit on the side and support. It's unfortunate that the injury did happen to Donovan, but it gave me a chance to step on the field and show that I can still play at a high level. And it led to an opportunity in Tampa for me to become a full-time starter once again and go out there and have 2 solid years.
And you and Donovan had in common the disdain for Terrell Owens too, so you had that in common. But
well, I mean, I don't know. You know, we didn't talk about that a whole lot, or actually at all, to be honest with you. I mean, it just was like water under the bridge for both of us. I mean, as far as that whole situation, I mean, we knew what Terrell could do as a player on the field and how he could contribute and what a difference maker he was. And, you know, you just had to really leave it at that. You couldn't really go into any of the other situations as far as personality and all of that. I mean, everybody saw that on TV. Everybody was a witness to it. So there need no more explanation from us.
You know, while you were answering there 14 NFL playoffs start with 14 teams. You were with the Niners, Eagles, Lions, Tampa Bay,
Cleveland.
You were with a big contingent of the teams that made the playoffs this season. You played for it and started for it at some point. So Cleveland was a fifth.
I know. I mean, I hate to know that I played for so many teams, but yeah, I mean, when you look at Tampa, Philly, the Lions this year, all being playoff teams, I actually was brought on to the Houston Texans late in the year when I was already retired. So they signed me at one point in 2011 to be an emergency quarterback and be a part of their team. So, you know, there's the Houston Texans as well. So, I mean, I am affiliated with quite a few of these teams. You know, I think the heart, obviously, I grew up a Niner fan in the Bay Area, but they didn't make it this year. So who do I root for now? I mean, I definitely root for the Eagles, but I also have a soft spot for Detroit just because those fans have never had a Super Bowl. Those fans have never had, you know, an elite year, and this could be their year. So, you know, it wouldn't bother me at all if Detroit goes all the way and has a great finish to this season.
What is that Ben Johnson doing that is so cutting edge at the NFL level that it seems like everybody is running open by 10 yards, and it seems like he always has an answer for every kind of defensive scheme that someone throws at that team? You rush them, they pick you, you know, they beat you deep. If you fall back into a zone, they pick you apart. And then the Gibbs kid can run like the wind. What are they doing?
I mean, they
that's
have
so
quality
unique?
players. They have a great running back that can run the football, which really helps the quarterback in being able to have some balance from an offensive system standpoint. But then they have great threats. They have a great tight end. They have guys that can definitely get open and manipulate defense. And then he's creative. I mean, he throws in some trickery every once in a while. It's like, wow, I can't believe he got away with that one. But he does it. Shoot, it almost seems like he has won a game that he pulls out of his back pocket. And so, you know, they're very creative. They seem to have a lot of fun out there on the field with what they do. They're pretty solid up front. That helps. I mean, they got to have a good protection, good blocking schemes for their guys to be effective. So, they've really done a great job of putting that team together through free agency, through the draft, and bringing in some talent that now allows them to compete at such a high level. And then with their head coach, Dan, I mean, that guy's just a beast. And you know that when he talks, guys are listening. Hey, guys are following his lead as far as what he wants out of a team. And yeah, he's got a great offensive mind in Ben Johnson, and that guy's going to probably be going off somewhere else soon. So hopefully they make the most of it this year, because he may not be back next year.
Hey, you talked about, you grew up in the Bay Area. What is, I can't even imagine as a player, what is it like going somewhere and you have to follow Joe Montana and Steve Young? That has to be just brutal.
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, I was like one of those things where I thought when I joined the Niners and Steve was there that I would get 3-4 years of learning from one of the best to ever play the game, in a sense of being able to really follow him and learn from him, his decision making, his studying, all the things, how he approached the game. But then he got injured within the third or fourth game of the season. He got knocked out, obviously, in that Monday night game. And so all of a sudden I'm thrown into it, and I'm the starter, and I'm kind of learning under fire. And I didn't have that. But when you looked at what I was following that first year, I think more than any, I allowed it to really weigh heavy on me, because we were struggling. We weren't winning football games. That team had not been used to not winning football games for 2 decades. They had been an elite power in the National Football League. And now all of a sudden there was a huge drop off. And for me, my feeling was that everybody's looking at it. Well, of course, the major change is at the quarterback position. It's this Garcia guy, not Steve Young or Joe Montana. And so I really shoulder a lot of that initially. And I had to learn to, thicken my skin. I had to learn to not be swayed or allow the ridicule or the negativity to be internalized within myself. I had to really focus on becoming a better player first and foremost, and not shouldering that burden, not carrying that pressure of trying to be those guys. Can't be Steve Young, can't be Joe Montana. As much as I had maybe some similar skill sets to those guys, I was not those guys. And so I had to be myself and figure it out. And, after that first year, the second year, I set a 49er franchise record for passing yards in a season that held off until last season, not this past year, but the year before, when Brock Purdy finally broke it 22 years later or whatever it was.
Wow.
And so I actually had a pretty solid 49er experience as far as what I did statistically. 3 Pro Bowls, led them to the playoffs twice, bounced back from those early struggles to really become something special. And it's too bad that it all got broken apart with the firing of Mariucci after the 2002 season. Then we go into the 2003 year with Coach Erickson. And, it just, those sudden changes affected the team. And then after that year, they really started to cut prices on the team, got rid of a lot of players. But for me, growing up, I was a Montana fan. He was my idol. I mean, this was a dream come true, being able to play for the 49ers and hopefully learn from a guy like Steve Young. And unfortunately, it just didn't materialize like that. But I still just had such a great experience playing back home, playing for the team that I grew up watching, and following in the footsteps of guys that I truly idolized in Joe and Steve, and then being that guy after them. And, I tried to hold down the fort as best I could before they decided to make changes. And, I think I did a decent job. I just didn't get that Super Bowl. So that was the unfortunate part.
But you did win a Grey Cup. And I'm just curious, because there's an extra guy on the field. The field dimensions are weird. The goalposts are in a weird spot. What was adapting to Canadian football? How difficult is that? And do you look back on that experience with any kind of affection, or was it a pain in the ass?
Well, it's definitely one that I look back with affection. I mean, just like coming out of high school, I wasn't recruited or signed by a major college football team. I had to go the route of the JC level. Coming out of college, there were basically skeptics saying I wasn't this, I wasn't that, and wouldn't be an NFL caliber quarterback. So I had to go wherever the opportunity was open for me. And that for me at the time was the Canadian Football League. Calgary Stampeders had my rights on their negotiation list. And so I looked at it as an opportunity to continue to do what I love to do, continue to somewhat remain a kid in ways, being able to play a game for a professional career. And, I had Doug Flutie as my mentor there for 2 years. And, being able to watch Doug and how he excelled on the field and how he just made plays and was magical somewhat on the field in how he created and some of the runs that he had were just ridiculous. So, talk about a great athlete playing the quarterback position and making plays. I mean, he was definitely one of those guys. But yeah, you had different field dimensions, wider, longer. You had bigger end zone, 20 yards.
People in motion.
For a quarterback, that's like a blessing in a lot of ways. We got more room to work in with our receivers, finding spots, and whether it's versus zone or running away versus man. And then you also had 3 downs to get a first instead of 4 downs. So you had to be really efficient as a quarterback, whether it's utilizing your legs to get positive yardage or just, maintaining a high completion percentage accuracy level because you didn't have that extra down to work with. So, it was definitely there was some adaptation that had to go on, but I think once I adapted to it, it really became a fun game to play. I really enjoyed it. Calgary is such a beautiful city. I enjoyed living there for the 5 years that I was there. I mean, I got to a point where really I thought the NFL may never happen for me. And I was really, truly loving living in Calgary and playing for the Stampeders. We were a solid organization. We really competed every year. We had a good team, good program going on. I got to a point where I bought a house up there, started to live there year round, even through the winter months, being a California kid. I mean, that was an adjustment. But, I was making Canadian dollars, which at the time was not very strong. I don't think it's still very strong compared to the American dollar. So for me to transition that back to the States just didn't make sense. So, my opportunities were up there and I was making the most of it and having a good time. I opened up a Mexican food restaurant. Thought I'd bring a little flavor to up north and do that with the city. And, so there were a lot of great things that were happening. I had great teammates and great camaraderie with those guys. So I truly enjoyed it. And then all of a sudden things changed for me. We win the Grey Cup. I was the MVP of the Grey Cup. And all of a sudden opportunities started to open up down south here in the NFL. And I had 5 workouts with NFL teams. And I was like, wow, this could be a game changer. And my life could all of a sudden take a new direction. So, it just so happened that it worked out that way. I didn't expect it. I wasn't planning on it. Like I said, I was thinking I'll be a 10, 15-year lifer in the Canadian Football League. And then all of a sudden it changed and I got 11 years in the NFL. So I played a long time. I was blessed. And, I thought I still could have played into my 40s, but, there's things that change and it comes to an end, but I was blessed to have the career that I had.
First of all, did the Mexican restaurant, did it make it? Was it good?
Well, it survived for about a year. I think we opened in October, and then all of a sudden, 3 months later, I was transitioning to the States. So I wasn't there to run it, and the guys that were running it just didn't do it justice.
But just out of curiosity, living in north of the border, was it a big transition? A lot of good syrup. I mean, tell us a Canadian story.
Yeah, wow, shoot. I don't know if those are good for TV. No, but I mean, the people were amazing. The city is such a beautiful city. The Calgary Stampede. I mean, if nobody's been to Canada yet, I mean, go to Calgary in the summertime, experience the Calgary Stampede. It's 10 days of a city just turning into basically a cowboy town, and exhibits and rodeo and music, and everybody's wearing cowboy hat. It's just, yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's a great experience, and the people were amazing. Talk about a city of just pure beauty. They have Banff and Lake Louise up in the mountains, which are destination locations. So you're really surrounded by a lot of just really pristine things there in Canada. And I mean, my experience with the Stampeders, I mean, it's one of the best 5-year chunks of my life as far as what I was able to experience there in Calgary, and the teammates that I met and played with and played for, and all those things. I mean, the people were just unbelievable. So, that will always be a soft spot in my heart for those Stampeders.
Hey, for me personally, one of the most surprising things in the last few years in sports is how popular and how quick girls flag football has grown. I mean, it is just, if you don't have paying attention, it's just for what, second or third year?
Second year.
Yeah, it is just
blown up.
And now you're involved in that a little bit, I hear. You want to tell me about that?
Yeah, it's because of my daughter. She's been playing since she was about 6 years old in the youth leagues around North San Diego. We have FNL, we have Drew Brees League FNA, which all my kids have played in. And she's my oldest. She's a junior at Torrey Pines, and this year she just went off. She had a great season. The team had a great year. They went all the way to the championship game. They lost to Classical, but they had a great season. My daughter was league offensive player of the year. She was first team all league. She was first team all CIF, and she's a little receiver out there. And, I see this as a sport that she would really like to continue to play at the collegiate level if that opportunity presents itself. She plays basketball right now, and she'll run track in the spring, but her sport is football. And she's begged me for years, Dad, can I play tackle football, when she was growing up at the Pop Warner levels. And I said, no, honey, you can't, because you're just a little thing, and these boys they'll knock you out. And no, I'm not going to allow that. So, when the flag football opportunity presented itself, I thought, wow, here's your opportunity to now play. It came just in time. She was a sophomore in high school when it started, and now she had her junior year, and she really just has had a blast playing the game. And so for me, I want to give her opportunities to continue to play and to play against some of the best out there. You look at the Orange County programs, those are really seem to be ahead of the game, just like their high school boys football is ahead of the game, while their girls flag is also ahead of the game with just how they play the game and their athletes. So we're looking at putting together a program here in North San Diego, but it's for all of San Diego. We're not just limiting it to girls in the North County, but we want to really create an elite girls flag football program. And I left it up to my daughter. She loved the Stallions name, so we started the NC Stallions, the North County Stallions, and girls flag football. And so we've had one little tryout. We're going to have another tryout this upcoming weekend on Sunday at the Nativity School in Rancho Santa Fe. But, for me, it's just about having an opportunity to coach my kids and be around them and still be involved with what they do. And, I teamed up with actually Coach Ryland from Torrey Pines, who does a great job with that Torrey Pines flag football program. And so we're teaming up together to really push this and create an opportunity for girls to have a spring and potentially a summer program where we're not expecting their turnout to be every weekend or to make every tournament, because a lot of these girls that play flag football are stud athletes in other sports,
Right.
soccer, softball, even volleyball.
Yeah.
And so, lacrosse. So we're just trying to put together a program that gives them an opportunity to continue to hone their skills on the field, so that when they do get back into their high school football seasons, flag football seasons next year, hey, they haven't lost a beat. They've continued to play. They've continued to compete. They've continued to grow as players. And like I said, it gives me a chance to coach my daughter and be around her and do those things that are important for her. I took her out to Arizona back about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, to a USA football camp, and she competed in that camp. And afterwards, I had connected with the ASU flag football program, girls flag football program, because they're the first program on the Western U.S. that is going to compete collegiately against schools in the NAIA level in the Midwest and Southeast. And so we went and watched their practice and met the girls out at Arizona State. And it was really a neat experience for my daughter to see that and to witness that. And, there are opportunities that are going to be out there for these girls, because the collegiate game is right around the corner.
Right.
I mean, you see some junior colleges that are even starting to promote their programs. Saddleback, I think Palomar has talked about it. So you see some JCs that are jumping on board. And the great thing about it, it's not an expensive sport to run. You need flags, you need footballs, and a jersey, and it's not a lot of players. I think you either play the 5v5 Olympic rules or the 7-on-7 high school rules. And so, it's something that a lot of these girls are having a blast doing. And, I'm blessed to be able to be witness to it with my daughter. And I just hopefully can provide an opportunity for her and for some others, and have, a coach that comes from a football background helping to coach them.
Jeff, we're going to call it a conversation there.
I got to ask for a couple. Jeff, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
So we do this and then we cut it up and it goes out on social media. Do you have any pictures of you and your dad when he was coaching at junior college, like together?
I can search for something.
So
I don't know if I have offhand, but I'll try to find something.
Anything from your junior college days would be appreciative, and any picture you might have with your daughters coaching flag.
And Steve Young.
And with Steve Young, that would be great if you could. I'm going to be cutting this up later tonight, and so anything you could send me, Bert will give you my address, and then you're coming in Friday on Good Morning San Diego, right?
Yeah, that's the plan.
All right.
That's the plan. Friday morning. Yeah.
So I will. We'll promote. The topic will be just on flag football. So, sir, it was an honor to get to chat with you for this period of time. I greatly appreciate it. We could have gone another 2 hours. You're going to have to come back off after the season, so we'll do another one after football season. But thank you so much.
Hopefully we'll have some good things to talk about.
I suspect we will.
Next football season.
Dude, you're one of those. I mean, you walk it like you talk it. You're giving back, and I'm honored to sit next to both of you, because you both give back to the community, and I like people who make differences. I like to be around difference makers. But PPR podcast number 208 is now over. Jeff, I will send you a link when it's all cut up, okay?
Thank you, guys.
All right,
Appreciate
Jeff.
it. Nice
Peace.
talking to you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh.